The alarm is set for 5. He's awake at 4:58. Not because his body needs less sleep, because somewhere in the last 91 days, his nervous system learned to beat the clock before the clock could beat him. Phone first, not for messages, for the number. 91, the streak. He doesn't smile at it anymore. He used to. Now it's just confirmation, the way you check a pulse. Not joy, just proof that the thing is still alive. Cold shower, gym bag already by the door. Protein shake measured the night before. Journal entry, 3 lines, same 3 prompts every morning. He calls this discipline. On the surface, it looks exactly like discipline. The wake time, the consistency, the refusal to negotiate with the version of him that wants 10 more minutes under the blanket. But watch what happens on day 92. He gets a fever, real one, body aching, head full of static. He still tries to do the cold shower, stands there shaking, finishes it anyway, because in his head, breaking the streak isn't missing a workout, it's losing something about who he is. 2 days later, the fever wins. He sleeps through the alarm. And here's the moment that actually matters. Not the missed workout, but what happens in the 60 seconds after he checks his phone and sees the streak reset to 0. Something in his chest drops, not disappointment, closer to disgust, like he caught himself doing something shameful. He doesn't think I was sick, that's reasonable. He thinks I knew this would happen, I knew I'd ruin it. Within the hour, he deletes the app. Not to give himself a break, to punish the version of him that let it slip. 2 days later, he reinstalls it with stricter rules. No off days this time, not even Sundays. This is the part most people misunderstand about discipline, especially the unbreakable kind sold in 5 a.m. videos and 90-day challenges. They think the goal is to never break the pattern. So when the pattern breaks, and it always eventually breaks, because he's a person, not a machine, they don't see a normal interruption. They see proof that they were never actually disciplined in the first place, just performing it. What's often happening underneath isn't really about willpower at all. For a lot of people, the rigid structure is doing something quieter, managing a low hum of anxiety about being enough, about losing control, about what it would mean if they slowed down and had to sit with themselves without a streak to point to. The schedule isn't just a schedule, it's evidence, proof presented to an internal jury that's never fully convinced. That's the contradiction worth sitting with. The tighter and more unbreakable the system looks from the outside, the more fragile it usually is on the inside. A system that can survive one missed day without triggering shame is sturdy. A system that collapses the moment it's interrupted was never strength. It was control wearing strength's clothes. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. Real discipline isn't measured by how long you go without breaking the pattern. It's measured by how fast you return after you do. 2 minutes of self-disgust, then back to the plan tomorrow. That's discipline. 2 weeks of avoidance, a deleted app, a harsher rulebook, and a new start date. That's not failure being corrected. That's shame being managed. The cost of confusing the two is quiet, and it doesn't show up right away. It shows up as a person who can sustain 91 perfect days, but can't sustain 1 imperfect one. Who gets so good at not missing that they never build the only skill that actually matters long-term, knowing how to come back without making it a whole identity crisis first. They mistake a long streak for resilience, when resilience was never tested. It only gets tested the day the streak breaks. If any of this sounds familiar, the shift isn't bigger rules or harsher restarts, it's smaller than that. The next time the pattern breaks, a missed workout, a skipped morning, a day that fell apart, notice the 60 seconds right after. Notice what you say to yourself in that gap. Then try doing the smallest version of the habit that same day, not a new perfect start on a new Monday, not the full routine, just enough to prove the pattern can survive contact with a bad day. This video is meant for reflection, not as a replacement for support from a professional. If a pattern like this is causing you real distress, that's worth saying clearly once here. He wakes up again the next morning, not at 4:58, at 5:15. He checks his phone, the number says 1. He almost deletes the app again. Instead, for the first time in 93 days, he just puts the phone down and gets in the shower.